Welcome to Lucid Dreaming and the Cube of Space with the Alchemical Cabala. This week, we're moving from the center of the cube, the world key, and we're going straight to the southern face of the cube of space, which happens to be the sun key. The sun key is the heart center in the Western tradition. So with that, let's just get right to it. Everyone please takes a few deep breaths, stare intently at the sun key, and share what speaks to you about this week's key.
Working in unison, the subconscious and the self-conscious that they represent.
Yes, excellent.
Innocent, childlike love.
Lovely. Yes.
It looks like they're inside a protective fortress of some sort, sort of like inside of protecting them from the outside world.
Excellent.
The sun looks like it's breathing the kind of white light behind it.
Right. Very nice.
The grass looks something of the self, and each has 1 foot in the inner circle and 1 foot more or less outside in the within the circle, but out in the outer circle.
Yes.
I think I know where Hillary was going with the fortress aspect, because this kind of looks like one atomic unit, and it has a membrane, if you will, the fortress wall behind.
Mm-hmm.
There is a unity to it in the cellular sense as well.
I was wondering if the 5 levels of the wall are the levels of senses, which would lead to the material world, and they're inside of that. Is that what the 5 levels are for?
That's a really excellent question.
There's a specific number of yods.
Yes. How many are there?
13.
11.
13.
13. Yes.
13?
There are 13. Interesting, right? So 13,
Yeah, right. 13.
in Hebrew, the number 13 is the number of unity and love. There are 13 full lunar cycles within the course of a solar year.
The 12 astrological signs.
12 astrological signs plus the sun.
Going around the sun, yeah.
Correct.
And 5 sunflowers.
Yes.
Senses.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And one of them's different.
It's like the senses are. It's as if the senses are an interface between the two, the opposites.
Okay.
It's a form. It's a way of communicating, you can say.
Sunflowers tend to follow the sun, we have 4 sunflowers that are looking at the 2 children, not the sun and the sky. Only one of them is looking at the sun. So
It's
what
like
does
the
that
hand,
mean?
the 4, and the 1.
Yeah, so what does that mean about the 2 children?
Hmm.
That the sunflowers are facing them. And there is one that follows the sun.
Now that pattern in the grass, I believe that represents the self and the soul.
Yes, it's also the astrological symbol of the sun. The circle within, or the dot within a circle. And sometimes they call this a fairy ring. Have you ever seen one? A fairy ring in the grass?
Mhm.
They form these little patterns in the grass. It's really neat if you've never seen one.
Does I just have a question. The sun, does that represent, being that it's on the south side, a higher dimension? Does the west side, is that the 3rd dimension? And then you get thrown off and you go into other dimensions?
That is a really good question, Christine. Like an excellent question. What does the group think? What do you think, Christina?
Yeah, because I think that you had said something last week about being in the 3rd dimension, we're going up into higher dimensions. Well, that's within
Yes.
the self, right? So,
Yep.
and there's many people that are kind of stuck on the west side, which could be the
Yes.
3rd dimension.
Yep.
And then, something happens, and then you get, I think you go to the north side first, right? You get thrown into the north.
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Because
So,
I should know my currents, but
right. Well, we'll cover the north next week, but we're going straight to the heart this week. But yes, they are connected, of course. But that's a really, really good question. Like, genuinely, really good question. Like, what is the difference between the West? Margot tells us all the time, we got to get off the Western face of the cube. And what is that? That's this world. That's the world with all the drama that we see and experience.
Well, the West world is all you see, is all there is.
Exactly.
Concept.
That. And like, is it Hillary, our new person? Sorry.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, Hillary brought up how they're kind of protected here. They're kind of enclosed, right? It's interesting. So,
I also wanted to
Emily,
point out the sundial, which I'm like, is this like how, I mean, it's almost like their entire livelihood and sense of time and everything is being powered by this sun force and all the different ways that it manifests.
okay, excellent, excellent. Patrick, down here in the bottom right corner in the home keys, see the little astrological solar sign here, right there?
I don't have that in mind, but I see it on yours.
Yeah, well, this is the new home deck, and it gives us the associations. In Hebrew, Resh, this is the letter Resh, and it means face, right? It's the R sound, as in Ra, of sun, and the astrological symbols given there, so we can make the connections for ourselves. But that's what we see here. They're dancing within it. And Victoria brought up that this is the self-conscious and subconscious.
Oh, yeah.
There was a band leader named Sun Ra and his orchestra. So now I get the Sun Ra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Ra is the sun god from the Egyptian mysteries. And these beings, the being of the sun is we're literally within it.
So the self-conscious has the left foot in the sun, and
Okay.
the subconscious has the right foot. And I know it means something, but
Okay.
or
That's a
what means.
what do you think it could mean? If you're wearing the tree and backing up into it,
Yes. Yeah, it's the circles up at the top one, right?
well, maybe, yes, maybe. But let's just say you're backing into the tree and you're wearing the tree.
Mhm.
Makes me think about the way we enter the altar. Feminine goes in one side and masculine the
Right.
other.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yes. Yes.
Well,
represents
Yeah.
the self and subconscious.
if they both had the same foot in, they'd be facing, one of them would be facing away from us. So,
Okay.
or they'd be on the same side of the circle.
Right.
Also,
Okay.
the thing with we're talking about the tree, the
Mhm.
whole thing of the two pillars, right? I mean, it was
Yes.
him, he's on one side, and then she's on the other. So it's like, she's representing, the what Gebara, and all the ones on one side, and then
Mhm.
he's on the other with, I know I'm normally in order, right? But like Hesed and all those things. But the thing that always stood out, it was pointed out there, was the fact with the yods, and how there's the 13 yods, 12 of them are arranged about, and then there's the one in between
Yes.
them that
Right here.
they're
Yep.
both, so it's like, looking at each other, but they're looking, it always struck
Yep.
me as like looking both at the yod, which is kind of like looking in the recognition of
Yep.
each other, and that whole, again, the whole aspect of union, in this.
Yes.
I mean, it's a real, it resonates from the aspect of just that unification of
Yep.
all.
Yep. Yes, they are both. It's like staring into each other's eyes and the yod.
Mhm.
Mhm.
With the completion.
Hand in hand.
Mhm.
This really speaks to what Carl Jung said about making the unconscious conscious.
Mm.
So what you've got is, it's like a picture of integration.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
also they're coming out of a long process of purification, and now they've arrived, and it's like a state in a state of regeneration. They're brand new, and they're integrated, and they're both the totality of consciousness.
Very nice.
Yes, definitely looks like they're celebrating something.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this
You
is
you could consider them spiritualized humanity.
exactly.
Yeah, on that note, the aspect, I think, and Michael's this whole thing of sharing something with regards to the aspect of purity, like this is just pure innocence. And
Yes.
it's something that I'm going to paraphrase the quote, but it was interview with Maya Angelou, and she was talking about how it's important that you have the world's the world, what's going on, but then you have that personal, is the way she phrased it, that personal little space inside your heart where you keep it clean. That is this space
Yes.
for you and God, and like
Yes.
that's the only, and that aspect of when she said, she was like, that's a space that you keep clean. There's no other influence outside. That is your connection to God right there, and just keeping that in your
That's
heart,
perfect.
in that space.
That's perfect, Easy. Perfect. Yes. It's like the master said, the pure in heart shall see God.
Exactly.
And Margot brought up, this is spiritualized humanity. This is the next step for the collective, both individually and collectively for us as human beings and our spiritual evolution. This state, the state of consciousness that this key evolves and brings about over the course of our path and our work. This is the sun, the gold. In alchemy, it is the gold, the spiritual gold of the great work.
It's the God realization, and the sun is directing us all there with the balance between sub and self, and their feet are in God, in the sun, you know.
Right.
It's it's like this is it.
This is it.
And-
Exactly.
Yeah, they're like the star key where she was naked and they are naked. So this is the truth. And the truth is revealed to us. We don't get it. It's revealed to us. It's a different way of receiving information.
Well, at this point, we do get it.
Yeah.
So remember that what is the third level of consciousness? There are only 3 in the tarot, basically. I mean, we could make a little exception when it's
super.
Self, sub, super. Yep.
perfect. So where is the super here?
Right there in the middle.
Yes. Right. And this is in perfect harmony, right? Those 6 yods on each side reaching down, embracing all the life within its whole aura and periphery.
Little verse.
Right? This is us in complete harmony with it's in our self-conscious, our subconscious, regenerated, as Michael pointed out, with the self as the sun.
It is a picture of the self.
Absolutely. Yes.
I never really saw it that way, but the sun is really where Keter is on the map of the tree of life.
Yep.
And where their feet are would be Malkut. And where their vision is going through would be Tiferet. And that's where they see each other through the self. Where they're holding hands would be foundation, or where they're mingling, you could say.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, I see what you're saying. Right.
And so the 2 poles, the 2 pillars of mercy and severity are the embracing arm.
Yes.
And so this is the body. This is the whole body of itself in one.
Yeah. So as you go about this week, remember to ask yourself if you're dreaming during what you call our waking hours, and your goal to wake up within your dream. When you wake up within your dream, ask this great being for assistance. And ask this being for assistance before. It's reaching down. And perfect, like Margot says, they're dancing on the green, which we know is love. There's nothing but love and protection in this key.
Can I add the protection is the wall that was brought up by the students, and the wall is made of stone. And in Hebrew, what is the word stone?
Someone's got to know.
The translation is the Father and Son are one. Ben is the word stone in Hebrew.
Yes.
Ben. So we are protected by the knowing we're one with creation.
Yes.
That is our protection, is that knowing. And at the point of being, not figuring it out. Here we're at the point of being. And it's interesting, the life forms, the daisies rest on this.
Interesting, yes. Okay. Anyone else before we move forward? Because we have another group read. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Because whenever we see the children from King James, verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven, which would be the God realization, knowing, you know, having achieved that realization, heaven on earth, God within us, and all that stuff.
Perfect. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to move forward. We got another group read. So this is this is kind of our goal. Okay. So as just happens to be, as Rachel brought up, in the course, the master said, to enter the kingdom, we must become as little children. There's nothing but trust in this key. And the sun key shows us our correct and appropriate relationship within our own self that we will develop within our own self-conscious and our own subconscious with the great solar being or the superconscious self within. And also within which we all live and move and have our being. Right now, if we could zoom out and look at our solar system collectively and just kind of observe it, we would see all of these spheres within the heliosphere of the sun. The solar rays go not just around the earth, the finer, higher vibratory rays go through and mingle with the core of the planet and the core of every cell of our being in the kingdom of the flesh. We are inside of the sun right now. Feel that subtlety. And when you do and open up to that, you feel its love, its intelligence, its guidance. This key is a direct connection to the great being that is within us, or the heart. If we break down the word heart, we see it says he art. Here is just a quick share again, showing the sequence that we will unfold the cube of space in this course. Remember, we started here at the center, and the center is the world key, which connects the moon to the earth of Malkut. And it's in the sacrum, here in the spine. This is the root chakra, or the core chakra of the spine. Now, and these are the interior stars. We went over that we're going to open them in this order. We start at the root, which again is in the sacrum, which comes from the root sacred. The life force within us that flows through us, all of it is sacred. It's holy. It's whole. So we start here at the root. We move straight to the center of the heart. And this, for many reasons, but one good reason is it helps us develop this part of our being, which is the most beautiful part of our being, as to where we are now evolving. And it balances everything above and everything below within us. In the Western tradition, it says most of us are still developing our hearts. And if we look at the state of the world, that seems fairly logical. So after we work here with the heart this week, we're going to move down here to this key of awakening, this Mars center down here, right? The tower key, which is curious, right? Because in the tower key, we see the sun striking that tower, just tearing it down. And then we'll move to the solar plexus of the Wheel of Fortune, then which is the western face that we're working to get off. And when we say working to get off, what we're really doing is we're working to not be bound by it in our consciousness. Then we'll move up to the throat chakra, which is the Empress. The pineal and pituitary, or mind's eye in some circles, is the High Priestess. And then the crown chakra is the Magician. And these are the above and below of the cube of space. So that's interesting. Right. Now moving on, let's look at this. Speaking of the southern face of the cube, and you got this in your emails, you should print this off. And did anybody take any time to kind of ponder on this? Well, we're going to do that right now. So, now understand what we're looking at this as if we are looking at the cube of space from the outside, looking in. Our key here, the western face, the whole western face is the sun key. But the currents that define it on the cube of space are seen here. We see the moon below, the star above, transition over here in the west, and in the east, we see the teacher. So Marco brought up the star key earlier, and I'll kick this off. I want you to just think about these keys and currents and the sun and what you're seeing and just whatever speaks to you. That's really all that matters here. But this is one way in which you integrate the wisdom, the cube of space, and bring it up from your own self to the self-conscious. But one thing I find beautiful is the stars are above, and then the next greatest thing is our star, the sun, and then the next closest thing to us is the moon. And as you contemplate this, just kind of remember that the above on the cube is the self-conscious mind, and the below on the cube is the subconscious. And the way you see the currents flowing here, because we're looking at the south, over here is the east, and over here is the west. And this is traveling below the moon, the stars above, and the transitions keep going from below above, and so is the teacher.
Can I just say, the currents aren't really making sense, but to me, but if I just look at like the death, and I think, okay, so the person's had an experience, they've shed their old self, they're starting new, then they're going to go up to the star, and they're going to meditate and try to listen to the teacher, which is on the, what you just said, would you say west side? And then they're going to continue on their journey, which is the end. So that doesn't match the currents, but in my mind, it makes sense. But it doesn't match the currents unless you go each way, maybe.
Okay, so it's okay. Don't get hung up on trying to intellectualize this, because what'll happen is as you immerse yourself more and more in it, you'll start to find yourself flowing through these currents and these patterns, and you'll recognize. So who remembers what the letter of the star key is? It's the fish hook. And who remembers what the letter of noon means?
Fish.
fish.
You want to see it? Yep.
So in the meditation, we're drawing from the waters of the subconscious, the wisdom of the self and transformation. And yeah.
An
So anyway,
interesting
go ahead.
note. I had the initiation of illumination when I was coloring the star card.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
I think I understand where you're going with that, Eli, with the using the fish hook to draw, because on the opposite side of the face you have the opposite, sort of the above and below dynamic at play, where you're drawing up like the intuitive through the teacher on the opposite side of the face. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yes, absolutely. And remember, you know, what we're doing as our intellect can only grasp so much of this. We're learning on deeper levels, but we have to try and discuss it. So this is what we do. We share what occurs to us, and then as we immerse ourselves more and more in it, we learn what cannot be taught, but what can be received.
So the letter of star is Sadi?
It is?
Yeah, okay. You asked that, no one answered. I
thank
should have
you.
known that.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's Sadi. And of course, yeah.
It's like
Actually,
a pump.
I did know that.
We see the path down here too, right? It's yellow. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions or comments on this?
Creative.
Okay.
This is how it expresses, right? This is how the self expresses itself.
Yes. So, all right. What is the essence of the teacher key?
Intuition. It's
That's it. That's it. Perfect. It's the intuition, the inner voice. Okay. What's the essence of the moon key?
Evolution.
Good, yes, through the body consciousness. Okay. The essence of the star.
Revelation.
Yes, that's the aspect that comes through meditation.
Would be like just like natural intelligence kind of thing.
Yes, the natural intelligence. Yes, and remember, in the Western tradition and in the Kabbalah, true meditation, when we come into the flow, what we call the way, or really penetrate into meditation, we realize we are not meditating, we are being meditated by the all. And then, of course, the transition or transformation. See the divine seed here.
Sorry, just making me think of the goal. So the goal of meditations to realize that there's a meditator, but kind of along those
Well,
lines
of
just
right. It all points to, and it all is flowing through us to create and bring about this new state of our being and our new, as Margot said, our spiritual humanity, who we really, really are.
Yeah.
This remembrance, this coming back to. But these are the ways that you should think about the cube, because revolving these things around in your mind, it brings about the personal consciousness into harmonic patterns with the universal consciousness. That's the idea behind the cube of space, which comes from the book of formation. Okay, we'll move forward. Thank you all. All right. Thank you all for sharing your light and insights. As we look at the faces, you can look at the currents that go around them and just get a deeper perception of what is involved in that face and that aspect of our being. So if you want to look at it simply, most simply, we know the sun is the heart. This is the inner voice. This is revelation. Listening to the inner voice of our heart leads to revelation. Now, thinking about the sun this week, again, realize that it's passing through every cell of your being all the time. It's radiating through your heart center with your breath all the time. And it's always there, waiting for us to be still and quiet and receive and simple, like these children. We are completely dependent, completely 100% dependent upon this great being, this of self. On the tree, the sun is called beauty, Tiferet. And the tarot, one of the beauties is if we just give our attention to the key, like we do in the core practice, the superconscious and subconscious will take it from there. We just have to master doing the simple part, the core practice, with our intention. Persistence, persistence, persistence. Staring and holding the key in our physical vision immerses us more deeply in it because the light penetrates into our vehicles through our vision. And then when we hold the key in our inner seeing, our inner awareness, just even thinking about it, we are emitting light from within and bringing this union of the inner and the outer. Again, the sun key is the key of the heart. The heart is the center of the entire tree of life, connecting the above to the below. We talked about the sides here, how it connects the body consciousness, the intuition, revelation, and transformation. This truly is a magical and beautiful, beautiful key. If you have a set and haven't colored this key, this would be a good week to do it. You might find it interesting that in the book of formation, the sun key is called the collective intelligence. So
all
this
of these
is
cards have to do with the intelligence.
yes. So the sun, our sun, both outer and inner, receives the astral streamings of intelligence from the entire cosmos and then radiates it out into its own creation, which we are. This occurs within us also. So blessings on your core practice this week with the Sun Key. And thank you all for your participation. This concludes our outer class on lucid dreaming, the Sun Key, and the cube of space. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.